Ever feel like you suck at this job? Motherhood, I mean. Have too much anxiety and not enough patience? Too much yelling, not enough play? There's no manual, no village, and no guarantees. The stakes are high. We want so badly to get it right. But this is survival mode. We're just trying to make it to bedtime. So if you're full of mom guilt, your temper scares you, you feel like you're screwing everything up, and you're afraid to admit any of those things out loud, this podcast is for you. This is Failing Motherhood. I'm Danielle Bettman, and each week we'll chat with a mom ready to be real, sharing her insecurities, her fears, her failures, and her wins. We do not have it all figured out. That's not the goal. The goal is to remind you, you are the mom your kids need. They need what you have, you are good enough, and you're not alone. I hope you pop in earbuds, somehow sneak away, and get ready to hear some hope from the trenches. You belong here, friend. We're so glad you're here. Hey, it's Danielle. It's our 99th episode. For the 100th episode, I am going to be talking about 10 lessons I've learned in 10 years of parenting. And that's probably not with as much fanfare as a 100th episode deserves, but I'm a working mom. I've only been able to put so much thought into it. So it is what it is. But for today's episode, I have went back and forth through lots and lots of different topics because I have a huge list of things I want to share with you. And I'm so excited to be able to do it through this platform. It's been such an amazing 3 years of podcasting. So I was going through that list, and eventually the day got away from me. One of my kids stayed home from school, and the day before this airs, there was another elementary school shooting in Nashville. And honestly, that has taken a lot of my emotional bandwidth, as I'm sure it has yours if you live here and you are as sick of hearing these news stories as I am. And while there's so much I want to say about that, there's also nothing I want to say because I can't. It's so hard to put words to the amount of injustice and frustration I feel and how urgent this problem feels and how helpless I feel about it. And so call your representatives, share what you feel on social media. We'll keep standing up for 9-year-olds. I have an 8 and 10-year-old, and I'm not going to say that I didn't fall apart hugging them again after they got home from school yesterday. So eventually what I'm trying to say here is I don't have an episode for you. Instead, what I'm going to do is share a training from my program, Wholeheartedly Calm. This is a bonus training called When in Doubt, BMW, and you'll learn what that means as you dive into this. But before I hit play on that training piece, it's like an 8-minute segment because all of the training within Wholeheartedly Calm is mostly audio segments that are less than 10-minute little digestible pieces so that you can play them over and over as you need them. But before I dive into that training, I also wanted to share a story from one of my clients who graduated a couple months ago, and she shared a testimonial that she recorded for me. And I just feel like you need to hear the hope from that first person experience of the families that are successful in my program so that you can identify of like, yeah, these are my people. This is what's possible, and give you that understanding as well. So here is Mackenzie. I'll let her speak to her story, and then we'll dive right into the training of When in Doubt, BMW. And I hope that you give your kids a big, big, big hug for me and keep up your hard work. Know the worth of your work as a parent. It matters so much. I can't wait for you to join me in the 100th episode next week.
Before I joined Danielle's Wholeheartedly parenting course, parenting was just like a crapshoot. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I'd followed all of the accounts on Instagram and Facebook, and I'd listened to all of the podcasts, but I still felt like I was just constantly failing. My connection with my kids, my son specifically, was just dwindling, and getting him to do the most simplest tasks felt like the biggest chore. And I knew I needed to change something, but I didn't know how to change it. And I just felt like I was failing. The biggest changes that I've noticed within myself would have to be my confidence for sure. Myself and my parenting. My confidence for sure. I feel more confident if someone were to come and question the way I do certain things. I feel like I have a clearer answer as to why I'm doing things not as traditionally. My child is a lot more, he accepts more of the things that I ask of him, and those simple tasks aren't such a struggle anymore. When it comes to the things that I've seen it within my marriage, my husband trusts more of what I say. He's always trusted my process of things, but now having gone through a course, an 11-week course with Danielle and some of the other parents, he's like, okay, you really do know what you're talking about. So, and it just kind of full circle comes around to the confidence, because I'm confident sharing the information with him and knowing that if we do this together, then we will see a huge change in the dynamic of our family as a whole. One of my biggest fears when it comes to parenting was I'm constantly thinking about the future. I'm thinking about my relationship with my kids in the future and how what I'm doing now impacts the future, if that makes sense. And before starting this program, this course, I felt like I'm going to have a teenager who's rebellious, who doesn't listen, who's doing things in spite of me. And I just felt really, really fearful of what's to come 10 years from now. And after completing this course and continuing my education and my knowledge on how to build and form and keep connections, I'm not as afraid of that anymore. Of course, I still have fears of the teenage years, I think, as every parent will have. But I don't feel nearly as afraid as I once did. If you are even considering doing this program with Danielle, this is your sign to do it, because I had sat on this thought for well over a year. I knew I wanted to work with her. She was someone who we just aligned. I agreed, and I loved everything she shared on her social media pages. Her podcast was one that I kept up with. I knew Danielle was somebody I wanted to work with, and I was just always afraid. I'm like, this is a big investment. And when it came down to it, when I talked with Danielle and told her about my fears, she wants you to win. She wants you and your family to win, and she's willing to do what she can to help get you there. So if you are thinking about it, just do it. Your family is the number one most important thing in this entire world, and you will not, I promise, you will not regret signing up and doing this with her. You're not alone.
Okay, the name of this training is When in Doubt, BMW. And I wanted something that was an acronym that you might just be able to remember into the future when you're having a hard time. So just a preface. When things are actively going downhill over time, there's a new pattern that's being established, or there's a backtracking or regression in something with one of your kiddos, there will always be more at play. Number one, always check sleep. Without sleep, everything is a mess, everything is the worst, and there is no hope. After a good night's sleep, you can change the world. It makes or breaks everything. If everything feels hopeless, you might just need more sleep. Or so might they. If you get your kiddo back to 11 hours every night, they will be a different kiddo. Of course, that's not always possible, and there always will be ups and downs with that, but that allows you to understand the real issue and not blow it out of proportion. The other thing that might be at play if there's an active downhill spiral is them craving attention or control. So that's when you just go back to special time or helping them feel capable in one way or another, maybe some power reversal games, maybe getting back to the calendar or other things that they can feel in charge of in your home, family meetings, helping someone out, teaching something. They will be back to normal soon enough. The advice that I'm sharing in this particular training is for the bad days, or the bad mornings, or the bad evenings when things are just off. That's when I want you to remember, when in doubt, BMW, like the car. The B stands for breathe. Whether you just focus on your own breath, stretch it out, make a couple deep breaths longer, or just simply notice your breath coming in or going out, watching your belly or feeling it through your nose or your mouth, that little bit of mindfulness goes a million miles. And I have not realized this as a parent until literally the last year, but it has been a complete game changer. My first entry point into discovering the power of just breathing was my therapist recommending that I put a Post-it note right above the toilet paper roll in my bathroom. And every time I sat down, I would see the little Post-it note that said breathe. And while I was there, I would take several full, deep breaths, just very intentionally for no other reason than that Post-it note reminded me. You could do that same exact thing, or you could put an arbitrary reminder in your phone. You just have to switch it up kind of when you get desensitized to it. But literally taking several deep breaths every time I used the bathroom, I could tell a difference in my day. You don't realize how much you need that simple, grounding, foundational, physiological thing until you take it and you realize, oh wow, I really needed that. So now when I am on the go and I am needing a reset, if I am in that moment of like a hangover from dealing with big emotions, or I'm just not feeling it that day, I don't have the energy, my energy is off, I will put on a short meditation or like breathwork podcast episode while I drive. And it may be very silly because you obviously can't close your eyes and do all of the relaxing that it recommends. And, when it's like, relax your forehead, and I'm just gripping the steering wheel while someone's cutting me off on the interstate. But it's just for the structure of the breathing methods alone. And by the time I arrive at my destination, usually to pick up my kids, I can physically feel a shift in my energy and feel more refreshed and ready to have a game face and take on the rest of the day. So the BMW, the B stands for breathe. Just breathe a little bit more, a little bit deeper, a little more often throughout your day, and it will shift your energy and it will show your body that you can hit reset and calm down. Number 2, the M in BMW is when in doubt, turn on music. And this is a game changer to shift the mood of your day, to get energy out, to get them to cooperate, to ease transitions. Let me share a few examples with you. Music is a very powerful tool to shift the energy of a room or create a mood boost. So turn on a good playlist in the background whenever you can cut the tension with a knife and just create a totally different feel, vibe, or peaceful energy within the living room or wherever you're at. When you need to get the sillies out or get them upstairs for bedtime or get them to find the next necessary care routine that they don't want to do and they're dragging their feet. throw a 1-minute dance party. Put a song on your phone that you know that they like, whether that is a kid song or a grown-up song. I'm not going to regulate the explicit language. You do you. But it really does kill two birds with one stone, because that dancing for both of you will provide the physical stimulation that you might need to process some of your stress, and it will do the same for them while also getting you into a more connected state to be able to cultivate that cooperation you need in that moment. So throw a 1-minute dance party anytime you need. Now here is when your kids get a little bit older, how it can pay off. My strong-willed daughter will pretty much do anything I want her to do if I let her listen to her playlist. So she ended up getting a little waterproof suction cup speaker that she can put in the shower, and it connects with my phone. It's a little Bluetooth speaker, super, super simple. I mean, you can find those everywhere now, but she uses that when she needs to take a shower. And so we have subscribed as a family to Spotify Premium. And with that family account, we can create kids' profiles that are moderated by their age, and they can curate their own playlists full of approved music that they love, and they can play it offline. So my strong-willed daughter will literally clean her room, fold her laundry, shower, pretty much anything she wants as long as she can listen to her music. That was one thing I helped a client with, where they insisted that their child help with hand washing dishes. And it was a battle upon battle, but once they allowed him to wear headphones while he did it, total game changer. All the cooperation was there. So have a 1-minute dance party, allow them to put on headphones whenever they need to do a task that they don't like, or ease a transition from after school or pickup time to home. And or if you have a goal to reduce dependency on screen time, play a kid's podcast or audiobook. It holds their attention while keeping everyone quiet, keeping big emotions at bay, and eliminating the opportunity for sibling squabbles. And it's such a win-win. So it's not technically music, but I consider audiobooks or podcasts in the same genre of when in doubt, turn on music, because you know when their blood sugar is crashing, you know when they've kept it together all day and they're ready to lose it, and you feel like you're going to be on eggshells. If you have a podcast that they're into, or the next chapter of their book, the chapter book that you're listening to on audiobook, and you put that on in the car instead, or when you get home, you start playing that and get into that routine, it will help so much with those transitions. So find a series that you love. Again, we use like Spotify Family to find really good kids podcasts, but you can find them anywhere. We have loved the Big Life Journal podcast. We have loved Story Pirates and chapter books like Mr. Popper's Penguins or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Putting it on will literally create instant peace. So when in doubt, breathe. When in doubt, turn on music. Or when in doubt, add water. You probably haven't drank enough water today. That's a given. But you can always drink more water. But what I really mean here is, number one, there's nothing a popsicle bath can't solve. Giving them popsicles or little icy pops with their clothes on in the bathtub, or going swimming in some capacity, is always a win, helps everybody regulate and be able to hit reset for the day. Whether that is a random bath in the morning, going out in a little outdoor pool, creating a little sensory water play with like a dishes tub, going out and jumping in puddles, getting out in that time in nature can be a healing bonus as well. But when all else fails, add water. It's going to help them regulate in a way that they weren't able to before. And number two, allow the tears. Adding water. It's one way to do that. But for yourself or for them, when all else truly fails, accepting and holding space that life is always going to be full of ups and downs, and emotions are a normal and expected part of the human experience. And sometimes you just need to cry, and then that can help complete the stress cycle for you, and just allow them to pop their pressure cooker and get it out and vent as well. So remember, BMW, when in doubt, breathe, add music, or add water. Water and music are your friends. They are all ways that you can process your emotions and stress or hit reset from a bad morning or a bad day, and enables all the tools that you have been working so hard to learn to come back online and work again. When in doubt, BMW. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Failing Motherhood. Your kids are so lucky to have you. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot right now and share it in your Instagram stories and tag me. If you're loving the podcast, be sure that you've subscribed and leave a review so we can help more moms know that they are not alone if they feel like they're failing motherhood on a daily basis. And if you're ready to transform your relationship with your strong-willed child and invest in the support you need to make it happen, schedule your free consultation using the link in the show notes. I can't wait to meet you. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. I believe in you, and I'm cheering you on.